Welcome back. I'm Kim Bailey, he's Jamie Wadley, and this is Inside Exec. Today we're continuing our conversation with Thomas Krause, and we're looking at how a hybrid workplace affects the core values of an organisation, as well as if you've got project teams with particular values and particular processes, whether that can work when they are different to what the organisation generally would use for its progression forward. The second question we sent you, interesting. Does organisational culture diminish with a hybrid workplace?
Yes, when I saw that, I thought, gosh, that's a really interesting question right now. I think that's a question a lot of people are thinking about, and I don't have a strong data-based answer for that. It's too early. But I can tell you some considerations and some observations that I have made. I think the way information travels around in a hybrid organization is quite different. So we miss the water cooler conversation, but we gain it's much easier to have a meeting. It's much easier to have the right people in the meeting and the right number of meetings to get to the objective. Now, I'm assuming that the organization functions well enough that a meeting is a good thing. That yes. I'm not burnt out. I don't feel like I'm being abused if I go to another meeting. I'm assuming that it's working. Things are going well enough that a meeting is still a nice opportunity to get something done, and I like the people I'm working with, and ideally, I even feel supported by those people, and they're friends, and I like them, and we have a nice relationship, and we work together well, and so on. All that good stuff is happening. In that case, the shorter duration, higher frequency of meetings, I think, is a big asset. On the other hand, if we have problems in the organization, I don't trust people. I don't think people are working on my behalf. I think they're working for their own best interest, and it's pretty limited to that. And what I really would like to do when I get in a meeting is turn off the camera and read something else while they blather along. Then we're creating a different kind of culture. Then we're creating a culture where people are not really getting the benefit of each other.
Do you think that communication and identifying those problems with communication is clearer now with the hybrid workplace?
Boy, I don't know. That's a very interesting question. I think probably the effect of the video meeting to communication is more negative than positive.
Okay.
So, you say, is it worth getting everybody together for that meeting? Is it worth having people travel and the additional time? And then you say, yeah, this is a big deal. This really matters. This goes to a lot of different places and a lot of different objectives. And we want this meeting to go really well. Let's have it in person. So what is it you're saying? What is it you're recognizing in saying that you miss on the tube? Mm-hmm. There is something about, I don't know what it is. As a psychologist, it's interesting to me. I've wondered about it for years. What is it that is missed on the tube that is not missed in person? And it's just in some way it's the person. So it's easier if you know the person already, right? If you know if you've worked with this person, yeah.
But also, I think there's an element of, if you're in person, you're all on an equal footing. If you're using technology, then everyone's got a different background. They can dress a little bit differently. They approach the meeting a little differently in terms of their dedication or their focus on the meeting, because they can't turn the camera off and just read something while everyone else is talking.
I wonder if it's a level of casual surroundings in a video meeting that makes it a little less important perhaps than it would otherwise be. Whereas if I'm going somewhere to meet with you, I know I've got to be on my game, I've got to prepare.
Yeah. So the physical aspect of being there brings with it a certain level of gravity or of importance. and I feel a little more obliged to perform, to prepare fully, and to be ready to go, and so on. Yeah, maybe. I mean, if I think about if I think about what meetings have I had in the last year that I thought, man, that was so much fun and that was so beneficial, and I think we turned in that meeting. Something happened that was really good.
Yeah.
We figured something out, or we solved a problem, or we created a new kind of relationship to each other, or something like that. Something like, boy, that was a good meeting. And then I think, how many of those happened in person and how many of those happened on the tube? I think that favors in person.
Yeah, okay.
I think it also gives a message to people about the organisation's commitment to it being to them as part of being at the meeting, if they call it in person rather than just another online meeting.
Yeah.
All right, our third question was, can a team with a certain culture survive in an organisation where the culture differs? And this particularly comes out of a lot of our listening audience work in very definite project teams for particular services and industries. We have had in the past the question and case studies around, I'm really good with my team does this, my team does that, and I'm happy with my people and we're happy to work on this project, but we don't really feel comfortable in the organisation as a whole because we work differently to the rest of the organisation. And I think sometimes it comes back to these particular project teams being very entrepreneurial in their thinking, even though they're within an organisation, a big organisation. So can they survive in that environment?
Right. So technically, we would call those subcultures.
Yep.
And they're frequent, and they happen, and they're quite different, and they vary by type of activity and location and a whole bunch of other variables. I think you could argue for that variation being positive in the sense that it's not all completely predictable. There's not a rule book that says you must. And so I get the experience of working with people where, it's okay to challenge someone. It's okay to have a different point of view. It's okay to even give an interpretation to someone else, which is sometimes not okay. Sometimes you're not supposed to tell someone that they really think this, even though they're saying that, or something like that, some kind of psychological interpretation. But in the best team, you have that. It is okay to say that. The most effective team, you can say whatever you want, say what you think, and that's not hostile or inappropriate or anxiety provoking. That's assuming that you have goodwill and that you're all trying to do the same thing. That's a positive thing in the same way that it would be in a family. So I don't know that it's a problem to have different subcultures. I think it might be an asset.
Is it an opportunity then for executives at any level to identify that within an organisation and say this team seems to work differently? What is it? Why is it? And have them talk about how they talk to one another, how they make decisions, how they think as a group, and what their values are, whether they've identified them.
I think
separate
so.
to the organisation.
Yeah, I think so. And I also think that it might be related to the task. If we're a team asked to plan the building of a new facility, that's a different kind of task than if we're a team asked to figure out a problem, solve a problem, or improve a process, or analyze and understand something more deeply. There's the old idea of the skunk works. If we couldn't get it done through the regular channels, we'll create a little place and we'll make it a separate room and we'll put anything on the wall and we'll have music in there, and it's a different kind of a feeling in that place because in that task we're looking for creativity, we're looking for new ideas. We don't want people having to feel like they're supposed to sit a certain way and be very formal. We want people to feel free to speak their minds and all that. That's different than a different type of task.
Yeah, we've touched on it briefly before, Fourth question is, do positive organisational cultures share common traits across various industries? So I think you started to talk about it early on. Just interested because we've got listeners from all sorts of industries.
Yeah, I think that the variables that define organizational functioning, which is what I think the essence of culture is, are similar across types of activity, languages, countries, parts of the world. I think those things hold up pretty well.
A good place to take a break in our conversation with Thomas Krause. Join us for part 3. For now, I'm Kim Bailey, he's Jamie Wadley. We're talking with Thomas Krause about core values in organisations, and this is Inside Exec.